There is one console to this day I still play, and nothing has recaptured that feel for me. And not only that, people are realizing it, and it's making a glorious comeback on multiple fronts. This is why the Nintendo 64 is king in 2024. But to know why it's king today, we need to look back at when it was king in my heart, but maybe not in the sales charts necessarily.
You know, it's not even Halloween yet, but millions of kids already know what they want for Christmas, a new video game system called Nintendo 64.
Nintendo's new game machine is 64 bits, making it the most powerful machine on the market.
You want to see something really cool? Check this out. Whoa! What am I, a monkey? You could zoom in, zoom out, change angles. Go anywhere you want to go, do anything you want to do. Here we go! This place is really sweet. Whoa, I'm out of here.
Change the system.
Back in 1996, God presented us with a gift to mankind, the kind of gift that countless people would regard as the greatest they'd ever receive for holidays and birthdays. The kind of gift that even as we approach 30 years, it still keeps giving. That's right, Nintendo's Fun Machine. The Nintendo 64 is my favorite console of all time. Sure, it has its quirks, and especially a lot of games we're still figuring out how to be implemented into 3D with varying success, but nothing will ever top the feeling of getting my very own Fun Machine Christmas of 1999 and experiencing the first adventure that I could 100% call my own, Donkey Kong 64. This is an adventure that, if you didn't experience it when it came out, you may not look to it as fondly, but I freaking love this game. Getting a true sense of a world I can explore every nook and cranny to find collectibles just made my heart happy. To this day, that feeling is something I look in the platforming genre to varying success. While the 64 wasn't all about platforming, it certainly was the selling point to myself, and often what people look to it for. You have the revolutionary Mario 64 introducing us to the third dimension control schemes, showing us what the control stick could really do, and building this quick and fun story of rescuing the princess and collecting power stars. You get the grittiness and mysterious world of Rayman 2, collecting Lums and defeating Razorbeard and his pirates. And this all led to the platforming genre culminating in two of the greatest platformers of all time, Banjo-Kazooie and its sequel, Tooie. These games would mark a point in my life I would deem the golden age of gaming. I remember coming home from school and sitting there for hours just exploring, looking for hidden secrets and collectibles. The bright, colorful, and silly world Rare designed was everything I loved about Donkey Kong, and cranked up even further. But these games were just the tip of the iceberg. You had the introduction of the first native 4-player console, and tons of games that utilized it. GoldenEye, a James Bond game in first person where you all could duke it out and see who has the best shot. Mario Kart 64, where friendships end depending on what item you get. Another kart racer with that rare charm, Diddy Kong Racing, was the one that would have you and your friends bopping along to the music. And let's not forget the epic space fights in Star Fox 64, testing your pilot skills. All of this multiplayer nonsense culminating into the best multiplayer platform fighter still to this day, Super Smash Bros. Taking the kid-friendly characters and having them beat each other up is classic. Ending all the playground arguments of who would win in a fight, Link or Donkey Kong, only to be able to settle the answer for yourself. So as you can see, the N64 not only brought these high-quality single-player experiences, but also offered the best couch co-op of the 90s, hands down. The library of the Nintendo 64 may be smaller than the PlayStation, but it's certainly quality over quantity in this way. I won't say PlayStation doesn't have its gems, don't get me wrong, but people still clamor for re-releases and new entries of games that were first on the 64. One thing that I see people not give enough credit to is the controller. People putting memes out on how to hold it, it's pretty straightforward and offers multiple ways to do it. You have to remember this is one of the first analog sticks. Yes, the first. Regardless of how you abused it in Mario Party, this thing was legendary. It feels good in your hands, and to have the insight into camera control buttons for 3D movement was insane. Not to mention if you use it for a fighter, you have your D-pad and 6-button configuration. They thought of so many different ways to hold this, and it works, which you can't say about everything in the 90s. Now that I've said all that, back to my point about it being king. So, what about today? Why do I still love this console, and why do I say it's king in 2024? Aside from seeing the platforming genre making a comeback in the indie scene and the rise of those type of games, including one I'm making myself in the Banjo-Kazooie DK64 Collectathon style, Abo and Sierra, The homebrew and mod scene has been pushing the N64, revitalizing old games with new content, making childhood dreams come true. Here are a few examples. Smash Remix, adding characters and stages to the original game. Conker the Squirrel in Smash? Yes please! Somehow they truly capture the magic of development with these Smash characters. Some even feeling better than their modern counterparts. These characters and stages feel so right you'd think it was just how the game always was, and it just keeps growing. Not only are we adding content to old games, but we're finding new ways to improve the old experiences to run better on the N64 hardware itself. Look how the code for Mario 64 can be manipulated to give us more vivid and impressive worlds with higher frame rates. Increased performance and fidelity of the same game on the same hardware? Yes please. And look, the original stuff being created, it's just incredible, like this Mega Textures demo, showing what the console was truly capable of if pushed to the absolute limit. The Portal remake by the same creator, it's impressive how he can get these to run so well on this 90s hardware. And with the introduction of EverDrives, you don't need to emulate. You can play modded variants of games you own right on your console. Having something like this makes it so easy to enjoy and experience games in a new light. A few more experiences I want to highlight are Waluigi's Taco Stand, where you play as Waluigi collecting ingredients and making tacos for customers. GoldenEye with Mario characters, it's the game you love with hilarious dialogue. Kirklo Mods brings us tons of Banjo-Kazooie experiences that fill my heart as I still wait for Banjo 3E. These experiences are bringing new life to the N64 in 2024 and beyond, and there are countless amounts of them. Not to mention, you can relive some of the original experiences more accessibly with Switch Online and the N64 controller officially from Nintendo. I have two. The N64 is and always will be the fun machine. It's up to us who experienced it when it first released to bring new generations into it and appreciate it. And now, with the release of the N64 HDMI mod for your system and the upcoming Analog 3D in 2024, the N64 gets a physical revival with modern takes of the console to make our old games look the best they can be. And not to mention, there's a plethora of accessories like the Forever Pack and Brawler 64 to give us a more modern take on that retro feel. All of these reasons, plus the fun variety of colors and collectible nature of it, are why I love the Nintendo 64 and believe it will be king in 2024. To add a bit of perspective, I asked my friend Billtendo to show us some of his favorite accessories for the original Nintendo 64 that he's seen over the years on his shop, and also talk about his emulation system. Here's Bill.
What's up everybody, Billtendo here, and today we're going to talk about a couple of my favorite accessories for the Nintendo 64. Now when I play Nintendo 64, the majority of the time, I actually use an emulation console that I sell on my website, Billtendo.com. It's called the Billtendo X Retro Lizard. Has 20 systems, almost 10,000 games, all your Nintendo 64 games, everything upscaled to beautiful HD quality. So let's talk about my favorite accessories for the Nintendo 64. Now, me personally, I enjoy playing a lot of Japanese games, so there were some Japanese accessories that were not released in the United States, from something that seems common to something that the US definitely didn't get, because it's not really an American thing when it comes to video games. And so the first thing I want to talk about is going to be the fishing pole for Suri Suri Fishing. Now you can use this for any Nintendo 64 fishing game. You can actually use this fishing pole on a lot of different games. So this is from the Mother Forever website. It shows you a lot of cool stuff. The fishing pole is great whether you're playing Suri Suri or Black Bass or Super Bass. This is a really cool device, and I really enjoy using it. The plastic is firm, heavy. It's official Nintendo 64 branded. It's a great little accessory. So yeah, I actually like the one for Dreamcast too. I've used the one on Dreamcast to beat Soul Calibur, which is a fun little challenge. I've often thought about trying to use this and play Smash Brothers. Although I haven't given it a try yet, it's definitely on my bucket list. So next thing I want to talk about is actually, this is from consolevariations.com. This is Dance Dance Revolution Disney that was released for Nintendo 64, and it is the game, a Disney dance pad. Now, we didn't get the Dance Dance Revolution on Nintendo until later on. You know, we got the Mickey Mix on GameCube and stuff like that. This also did come out for the PlayStation 1. but also only in Japan. So a really cool Japan exclusive, Dance Dance Revolution Disney. It was a great game. It was a lot of fun. And again, the dance pad you could use as a controller for other games too, which is really interesting. All of that is really interesting. Just so you know, when you buy a Japanese accessory for Nintendo 64, there are no region locks on these. So there's only one region locked accessory, and it makes sense when you think about it. All Nintendo 64 accessories work with all Nintendo 64 consoles. The only accessory that has a little bit of a region thing is the voice recognition software from like Let's Go, from Hey You Pikachu, because there are two different versions of it. There's one that understands English and one that understands Japanese. Now, if you're playing and you speak Japanese, and English, you could use either one. It doesn't matter. But the Japanese one wasn't released in the US and the English one was not released in Japan. And that being said, that voice recognition software also came with another game. Boom, Densha to Go, which is a train game. Now, this is a whole series of games that we're just starting to get in America with the Switch. The Japanese love their train games, and this is a train controller. And if you look right here in the center, you'll see a little cutout. What actually goes there are these very rare pocket watches, because you're supposed to time your stuff. You can put any pocket watch there, but there are 4 specific pocket watches that came out for this series. They're very, very hard to get. I actually only know one person that has all of them. It's really cool. It's the train controller for playing Densha to Go, the train game. And I think these generally run complete in box around $100 to $150, but it's just a really cool thing to play with. I myself, like I said, I like to play Japanese Nintendo 64 games. Shout out Puyo Puyo Sun. That's my favorite. It's like a Tetris style battler. But this is one of those games that I really enjoyed playing. It's something we never got in America. It's just another cool accessory for the Nintendo 64. You know, I want to thank Jiggy for asking me to talk about some of the stuff I like, because great guy, great subject. Everybody, y'all have a great day.
It had the games, the controllers, the multiplayer, and the fun. 2024 is the year fun is coming back. Well, that's all I have for you. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like, and hit that noti bell to catch all my future uploads. If you're a huge N64 fan, be sure to check out the Remember 64 podcast, where I hop on with my pal Dave talking about all the N64 games we love. Or don't love, I guess. Literally, we're going through the entire library. Link in the description below. Until next time, have a good one. Jiggy, look back!